It's another conversation with Trends, presented in partnership with Travel Daily News Asia Pacific. I'm with Andrew Jones, Guardian at Sanctuary Resorts. Now that's a title. We're at part of Travel Mart 2025 and you are watching Trends. Now, Andrew, I see your title, Guardian of Sanctuary Resorts. I've never met anyone with the title of Guardian. What's the story?
Okay, so that was a gift, actually. When I started the company, somebody said to me, what are you going to be? Chairman, Chief Executive, what's your title going to be? And I said, no, I just came from the corporate world. I don't want a big organization or a fancy title. I just want to guard the integrity of the concept because that's important to me. And my friend said, then you should be Guardian of the Sanctuary. So, as I say, it was a gift, and I think I'm the only guardian in the hotel business. So
fantastic.
It also became marketing after a while when I tell them a story.
Who are Sanctuary Resorts?
So Sanctuary Resorts is a company that I set up LinkedIn tells me it was 29 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, right. I've been around a while. And it's really interesting because I was a corporate vice president with Marco Polo Hotels in Hong Kong, and I just felt that my life was changing and I wanted to see what I really wanted to do in my life and could I make a difference and have an impact. And so I was trying to marry my vocation with my community service. I'm a Rotarian and I do some charitable work in Hong Kong, and I was trying to bring the two together. So I looked at the things that would make me happy, and one of the things was about working with people and helping the community. So I thought, I can do that with my business. I can do it as a community-based tourism, and I can create a resort which would be a catalyst for community development. So we create a resort, which is a business, a profitable business, and then we work with the local community to help address some of their needs in the community.
Well, that's quite forward thinking because we weren't thinking about that all those years ago with sustainability and community engagement.
Well, yeah.
So you're ahead of the trend.
I think I was. In fact, I think I was so far ahead of the trend that when I told my corporate friends that this is what I was going to do, I had two responses. One was, have another drink, you'll be fine, or have you joined a cult? Well, fortunately, neither, but it seemed to go well. And then we got one resort. It took us a little while to get our first resort because our concept's body, mind, spirit, environmentally friendly. So it's a combination of spa treatment, physical exercise, and seminars for the mind, and all created in an environmentally friendly space. And really, I was trying to find balance in my own life. And I thought I'll get one resort, sit on the porch, and manage the resort into my old age. And then I got one, and then I got two, and then it went from there. So at one time I think we were managing about 6 properties around Asia.
And how many today do you have?
Actually, the model is sort of a bit different for a business model for two reasons. One is that I didn't want to set up an empire. I wasn't trying to create a big thing. What I was trying to do is set up some models, I think, for community development and a way of doing tourism differently. And so they go back to the owners and to the local community after a period of time, 5-10 years, depending on what it is, right? So I just keep on refreshing and keep on getting new projects, and it keeps me, alive and keeps me active and interested, and we do some new things, and life goes on,
What are the new things? What are the customers looking for?
Well, actually, it's really interesting because people talk about new trends and these sort of things, but actually some of the old trends are the underlying values that people look for in tourism. It's then how do we provide them? How do we then engage other people in developing them? Things like that. And, even with technology and things like that. So I'm always looking at new ways of doing things. And whereas I might have done yoga and meditation before, maybe we do more sports activities or things like that, And then what does the community need? So sometimes if it's a dive area, we need to look at the reforestation of the coral, or how can we then enhance those areas and work with the people? I think people move out of their villages, for instance, and they go into other areas or into cities, and the thing is, some of those areas of the villages are beautiful, the nature, the views and things like that, but they don't appreciate it, but visitors do appreciate it.
And on the well-being side, do you think there's been greater engagement with your business post-COVID, where we've all become more health conscious?
I think that is a growing trend, yes. And COVID sort of helped us focus maybe and realize, life is, can be short, or, you've got to really look at your own well-being. And well-being, I think, it's been a growing trend. I mean, as I said, when I started, nobody talked about it.
Yeah.
Now it's mainstream, but more and more there's a focus on those sort of holidays or getaways or business and leisure activities.
Who is your customer? Somebody who's barefoot and looking for a fully responsible holiday and not leaving any impact on the environment. Somebody who's looking to recuperate from maybe an illness and they're looking from a medical perspective, or somebody that just wants to tick the box of community and sustainability. Who's your customer?
Or all of the above.
I've answered the question.
I think it is. It's all of the above in a way. But on the other hand, I'm very careful because although we promote wellness and well-being, and it tends to be more preventative, I'm not a doctor and I'm not into the medical aspects of some of these things. So people who are overcoming some illness and things like that, it would depend on their personal situation.
Yes.
Because I think we're looking at health and wellness and prevention, as I say, more than that. And I think we're not into illness. And I think that's also, we got to think about trends is, people want to stay healthy. They want to be healthy. They want to be active. So I think those are the sort of clients that look for these sort of different type of experiences. And I can tell you, when we opened in Bali, and that's over nearly 30 years ago, when I talked to our salespeople, I said, we're not selling rooms and food and beverage. We're selling experiences, even in those days.
Wow.
And now, of course, these are the trendy words.
Yes.
and things like that. But the reality is true. And when I was chairman of PATA, it's really interesting because we did this report on the Generation Z and, what they were looking for. And it was the same things that generally everybody's looking for. So it's not about age either. There are some things that people are really looking for. They want to mix with the community. They want to experience the local cuisine. They want to experience the local environment and get to know the people. So, and I want that too. So I always said, well, maybe I'm a second millennial, at my age. But
a timeless desire, basically.
I think so.
Goes across generations.
Yeah. I think how we present it or how we, market it or whatever, it may be slightly different. But it's the basic fundamentals of existence, of life and enjoyment,
Where do we find sanctuary resorts? You mentioned Bali. So was that your first?
No, my first resort was in Parangtritis in Yogyakarta, outside of Yogyakarta. That was the first one, and then we moved on to Bali. That was our second. Then we had the Racha in Thailand. We had one in Khao Lak, which unfortunately was wiped out during the tsunami. We lost staff and guests, which was quite traumatic, to be honest with you. And we've done some projects in the Philippines as well. So, and they, as I say, they move and they come and they go, and then we move on. But we've worked in all of those communities, and still we help out and we still support some of those communities to today.
What about the buzzword sustainability? How do you see that in the industry at large?
Well, I if you look at my vision and mission, it's all about responsible, sustainable tourism. So I think that was something that we started off with, and it keeps on going. I think sustainability. It's really interesting because for me, it's all been about people, so social sustainability. So there's different aspects. But I always felt that if I worked with the local community and the local people, they would then look after the nature and the local habitat and things like that. Whereas if I just looked after the habitat, then maybe the people wouldn't participate as much. So yes. I think it's also about the focus. So I would say social sustainability and working with people, educating them, training them, helping them develop and giving them meaning and purpose and passion in life. I think that's very important. And then they will look after the community and the other areas.
And to support your business model, technology, AI.
Yes. Well, actually, I use AI. I mean, at my advanced age, but yeah, no, I'm using AI for different aspects of things. I'm writing my reports, and I give talks or things too, and it's very good for trends, and I find it very useful. So, and technology, I think, we always used to say, high tech in the back, high touch in the front.
Yes.
I mean, these are the words that we use. And I think more and more technology will play a part in the back end. And the people at the front will have to, even if there's less of them, they'll still have to be more knowledgeable and more experienced. So it can be a win-win.
And finally, my mind's gone blank now. Let's have a look. Lucky with these mics, it doesn't pick up that lady. Yeah. This is a good one. So, Andrew, I've got a final question here that somebody actually asked me to ask you, and that is, luxury used to mean indulgence without limits. How can we balance luxury versus responsible travel?
Wow.
That's deep, isn't it?
Well, no, but it's really interesting because I think luxury is how you determine some of these things. I'll give you an example. So the Bali in Bali was 20 pool villas, right? Each villa had its own pool, and people it was one of the 100 best in the world in Condé Nast when it opened. We've had 2 of those. The other one was the Ratcha in Thailand. And, people thought that was luxury and that was wonderful. And it was, but that's not what I set out to do. But I gave people what they wanted. I gave it in a very stylish way. We created a good spa. We had programs. We had something called our Masters in Residence program, where we brought healers in and different aspects and different experiences. And people thought that was wow. Now, all of those things, the design was quite simplistic in a way, but very stylish, right? The food was... basically the cuisine was Balinese, but in a new sort of way of producing it. All our staff were local from the village. We had only a couple of expats, only 1 or 2, the GM and the chef. And that was because we used them as mentors for the staff. And the idea is to, again, train the local community, take over and do the main positions. And the thing is then, so it's a feeling of, Is that luxury? Is that contentment? Is that, I've got everything I need? So maybe that's luxury.
It's brilliant what you're doing. You're a visionary, you're ahead of your time, and you're engaging with the local community. Everything that tourism should be doing, you're doing.
Well, I was very fortunate. I grew up in the hotel business. My family used to run hotels, and I always say I learned from my parents, because the people they worked with became their family, and the guests became their friends. So I always take that spirit of hospitality with me wherever I go, wherever I travel, and hopefully, we can spread the word, and that's what, to me, hospitality is all about.
It is. Andrew, thank you so much for meeting with us today at the Trends Pop-Up Studio at Party Travel Mart 2025. Keep up the great work as a guardian of Sanctuary, of the community, and the larger picture with the planet at large, with our sustainability. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.